Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you're listening to the recording, a warm welcome to you as well. Just quickly, some feedback. How's the assignment coming along? I know that there is still time to complete it, but I presume that you guys have started with the assignment. How are you finding it so far? Are there any tricky parts? Or how is it going? If you guys can just quickly give me a brief little update on how it is going, then I can take it from there. We are obviously going to go through the assignment, but just quickly see if you have started it or you haven't started it. Then we can. Oh, I see there are still some other students joining. So let's just quickly. Not yet, not yet. Okay, no, no problem. Like I said, we've still got time to do the assignment. The assignment is on due 4th of October. So that gives us what, let's just see, just less than 3 weeks. It's like 3.5 weeks still to complete the assignment. So we've still got some time, but you should start thinking about at least completing the assignment as well. So again, a very warm welcome to the session. What we're going to look at tonight is we're just going to go through the assignment guidelines, speak about what is expected of you for the assignment. Remember, there's still that NSS coming up on the 18th. So next week you have an NSS which unpacks it in a bit more detail. So you might feel a little bit overwhelmed after this discussion because, I'm going to throw a lot of information at you. Take your time to go back and listen to the session again, over and over again, once you are working on the assignment. So if you haven't read through the assignment or you haven't sort of started with it, it may come as it may seem like, quite overwhelming. Please don't panic. Like I say, come back, listen to the recording, and then remember that you can always email me if you have questions. Okay, so let's jump right in. Remember, you will find the assignment under student material. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, go and download it, and then we will work on it from there. So if you haven't had a look at it yet, go and get it from student materials. There are 2 assignments. We are obviously focusing on the very first one. So your assignment 1 is all about this app that was introduced by Nedbank. Okay, so Nedbank introduced this app called the Avo app, and you'll see if you have to Google it further, you will go and you will see the logo looks like an Avo as well. So the business Nedbank needed to think of a way to be creative, to be innovative, to sort of find a new way to attract more customers and to keep their existing customers. So they needed to find a way in which they were going to look at how they can, keep up to date with everything that is happening in the technology field, how technology is advancing. So they created this Avo app, which is a super app. Okay, so this is a super app, and basically what Nedbank has done is they've put everything onto one place. So they've created one digital platform in which the Nedbank customers can shop online, they can book tickets for the movie, they can make reservations at a restaurant, they can pay for certain things. And this app is obviously free of charge for these Nedbank customers to use. So it's almost like a super app with everything on that anyone that you could possibly think of is on this Avo app, launched by Nedbank. So you can do all your banking, all your shopping, whether you need to take out a funeral policy or an insurance policy or a personal loan or a study loan, any banking thing, and then also obviously any shopping related thing, like I say, booking movie tickets, booking to go to ice skating or whatever it may be, you can do through the Avo app as well. And our job is we are going to apply this entire report in relation to Avo, and we are going to write this report as if we are addressing Avo. So we're looking at what Avo is currently doing, and basically what we are going to do as these consultants is you are going to say whether Avo is doing something right, and if so, what are they doing right? And we're going to then look at how can they improve. As a business consultant, so you are the business consultant, how can Avo improve this app that they have, and how can they improve their business model. Okay. So your job is to write a report. So you're going to write your assignment in the form of a report. They give you a word count there, 2,000 words. So do not go more than 2,000 words. Obviously, this does not include your contents page, your title page, your references, and your appendix if you have any. Okay. So step one, ladies and gentlemen, step one is for you to understand the Avo Super App in its entirety. You'll see the case study that they give you as part of your assignment is, I think it is 6 or 7 pages long. So there's a lot of information in the case study. But I would always encourage the students, as a first point of call, is to go and actually research. So just do a simple Google search on what this Avo app is. When did Nedbank launch it? Why did Nedbank launch it? How was it launched? What are the success rates? What are some of the reviews on the Avo app? So go and get a good feel for what this app is doing and how it is actually benefiting the Nedbank student clients. Okay, so step one always is to do extra research. Like I say, they do give you quite a lot of information in that case study that you can use, but your first step would always be to understand what Avo is. Okay. Once you have a better understanding of what Avo is in relation to Nedbank, you can now go on and write your report. So our report needs to follow a specific structure. So we'll go through the structure that it is. This is a set structure, and you'll see for assignment 2, we follow the same structure once again. So let's have a look at what the structure is. So you would have a cover page, okay? So in your cover page, you would have your name, your student number, the date, and you would have a title which says, this report is addressed to the CEO of Avo, okay? Definitely, you can use journals, articles, any information that you can find is 100% correct. Remember, just to reference as well. So you can use journal articles. Obviously, there's not a lot of academic writing about Avo app in particular. So for that, you would have to do more of like what I want to say, almost like a Google search for the actual app information. But if you want the theory on inside out theories and outside in perspectives, by all means, you can use journal articles. But to get the general feel of what the Avo app is, a normal website would be sufficient. Obviously, the more academic your writing is, you are then going to focus on journal articles and sort of more academic resources. But like I say, to get a general feel of the actual app and the reviews thereof, that would all be found under a normal general Google search. So you're going to look at a cover page. Remember, just to recap, on your cover page, it's like an assignment cover page, student number, due date of the assignment, what the module is, and then just have one sort of title. So you would just say, this report is written to the CEO or to the board of directors of Avo. It is going to analyze in order to analyze their business strategy. So just sort of a brief title of what the report is that you are then writing about in the next coming pages as well. Okay. Then you've got 3 questions which will then form part of your body, and this is what we are going to unpack tonight. You've got question 1 for 40 marks, question 2 for another 40 marks, and then question 3 for 10 marks, okay? So you'll see that that gives you a total of 90 marks, and obviously the remaining 10 marks are for the structure of the report. So did you follow the structure correctly? Did you use enough resources? Is there logical flow in your report? Did you use synthesis with extra theory in relation to it? So what was the grammar, academic writing, good format, etc., etc.? Okay, so making sure that the format is correct would then give you the final 10 marks there for the total of 100 marks as well. Okay. So we have a maximum word count that we have got. Last year it was less. This year they upped it to, I think I said 2,000. Was it 2,000? Let me just, yeah, 2,000 there on the page. Obviously, it's a lot of information to try and fit into 2,000 words. So if you do go a little bit over, then it is going to be fine. Just don't go 500 words over. Okay. So if you need to go a little bit over, I won't mind. Obviously, some of the other tutors are very strict with their word count. They are sticking to 2,000. So I don't mind if you go a little bit over, because I've seen in the past, I've got quite a lot of experience with this module, and I've seen students do struggle to fit all the information into those 2,000 words. So if you do need to go a little bit over the 2,000, please do, but don't go and make it public knowledge now that you are over, So just put your word count at the end and sort of just keep it to yourself that you've now gone over. So you won't be penalized if you do, but please, guys, don't go, like I say, don't go 500 over, but I really don't mind. I've seen in the past lots of students email me, Kim, I'm struggling to fit everything in. And I know it is a concern because you want to make sure you have all the information, but the word count is quite tight. Remember that your contents page and all of that is not included in the word count. So it's only the writing that you have done as well. Okay, so we could say then a maximum of like 2,500 words would be sufficient. And I do have some recommendations of what you need to be doing per word count. So we will share those as we're going along there as well. So it is generally up to you. So Michaela, that's a good question as well. You can obviously see question 1 and question 2 are going to take the majority of your content that you would have. So let's work on the 2,000 word that you have. We would obviously need to have, let's say, 250 for our introduction, 250 for our conclusion, which gives us the remaining balance of 1,500. So then I always tell the students to sort of divide that up into the 3 sections as well. So we've got 1,500 words. So I would maybe do 600 for the first question, 600 for the next question, and then the remaining balance for the next one. So then 300 for question 3. So that's kind of how I would break it up. 600 Q1, 600 words for Q2, and then 300 for Q3. 300 for question 3 is quite a lot. So if you have shortened question 3 to add a little bit more to question 2, obviously you can, but that is just a rough guideline of how you can divide up your words as well. Obviously, you can go up to 2,500 words here. So if you need to add on to this, then you can as also. If you need to make this 800, that's fine. So this is sort of a guideline, but you can manipulate the word count to suit yourself as well. Just remember that you are looking at 40 marks per, per question that you would have, and then the 10 mark when we get to the triggers, it's only for 10 marks as well. Of those 40 marks, application questions, application, and then marks for theory. We'll go into more detail about that as well. No, you don't need to include your references. It's just your word count that you would need as well. Okay. So technically, if we have to be sort of writing on a research paper level, the references for in-text do count, but for the purpose of this assignment, if you need to exclude your references so that you can up your word count, again, it's not technically correct, but you won't be penalized for doing that as well. So for the purpose of this assignment, you may exclude all references, in-text references, and the reference list, just so that you can also get a few extra words to actually write content that can actually earn you a mark. Okay. So if we're happy with all of those word count problems, then I can move on to the assignment. So remember, you're going to have a general introduction and a general conclusion. I always tell the students in your introduction, introduce the 3 topics. So our 3 topics that we're looking at are business level strategy, inside out perspectives, business level strategies, corporate strategies, and then the trigger factors as well. So I would introduce those concepts and then define them as part of the introduction and say how your report is going to offer advice or make recommendations for the organization. And then in conclusion, again, tie up those factors, provide the definition, or sum the definitions up, and then reiterate those recommendations that you made for Nedbank in relation to the Avo app. So a nice, neat conclusion, just summarizing everything. A good introduction, which is introducing us to the terms that you are going to use, to the definitions, to the instructions of what it is coming forward as well. Obviously, you're going to have a reference list. Guys and girls, that's important. I don't need to reiterate that. We know everything has a reference list. And then you can see here, the appendix or appendices is optional, okay? So if you have, say now you are analyzing a specific point of your corporate level strategy and you need to have an extra bar graph or something else that supports your standpoint, then by all means have the appendix, then add it in as appendix A, appendix B, whatever it may be, and then I can see the relation for it. But it's not, you're not going to get extra marks for having appendices, but you're also not going to lose marks for not having them. The only time you will get a mark for the appendix is if it is used to support a fact. Then you're getting a mark for the fact that you have given, and the appendix is just used as the support for that as well. But you will still get a mark for that fact. So if you need to add it in, you are most welcome to do that. If you're unsure, send me an email and say, Kim, this is kind of the facts that I'm focusing on. These are the graphs or the statistics or whatever I have found. Do you think I need to include it? And then I can always say yes or no, or whatever the case may be. Okay. So that's basically the structure of the assignment. Let's now unpack the question. So let's unpack the first question then, which would be our question for 40 marks, okay? So for 40 marks, we are analyzing the business level strategy. So we are looking at which business level strategy Avo is employing, or which are they following most likely. So which of the strategies are they going to be following? So you can see I've given you some page numbers as a starting point. So when you are starting with your assignment, it's always good just to turn to the textbook. Remember, we are still working with our strategic management textbook. And if you look on page 252, for the following 20 pages, they go into detail about the business level strategies. You only need to pick one business level strategy, okay? So you are going to read the case study, you are going to do some extra research on Avo, and you are going to decide which business level strategy you think Avo is following. So which of the business levels are they following? Are they following a cost leadership strategy? Are they following a differentiation strategy? Are they focusing on a niche market or a cost focus that they would have? So what are they focusing on? Okay, cost leadership, differentiation, low cost, what are they focusing on? Which one of the strategies are they going to be focusing on? Okay, so you only need to pick one. Now, I always tell the student there's obviously an answer that is most correct. Okay, so there is one that will automatically jump out to you that would be correct. But if you have enough reason to justify another case strategy and you've justified it well, you will also be given the marks for that. Okay, as long as you have justified it well enough to be able to earn the marks. So obviously there is one that is most correct. And you guys would be able to pick it out. But if you are able to identify one and explain it properly, then by all means do that, and then you will get your mark. So once you've picked so I've said here between 400 or 500 words, but remember when we spoke about it, we did increase it a little bit, so that's where it would come up to 600 words if you need it here. Okay. So let's look at this. So the first thing is that you are going to be looking at which business level strategy is followed. So as a first stepping stone, define that business level strategy. And in your opening introduction here, say you think that Avo is following, let's say, for example, a cost leadership strategy. A cost leadership strategy is okay? Or it has these characteristics. So you've defined what the cost leadership is, okay? And then you're going to look at advantages and disadvantages of that strategy. So then you would say, if we stick to our example of cost leadership, what are some of the advantages and what are some of the disadvantages of the strategy? So this first two parts of our answer is our theoretical part. So we've got the theory that we would list here. Theory, defining the business level strategy and discussing that business level strategy's advantages as well as the disadvantages. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you will see a lot of this information in textbook, and you are welcome to use the information in your textbook. I know we always say use extra research as well, but for this particular question, the information that is in your textbook is quite good. It explains it in a nice way, and you can use those advantages and disadvantages that are listed in the textbook, rewrite them in your own words, paraphrase them, and you will be good to go for that as well. Okay. Once you have done that, we are then going to move on to the A for application. So once you have completed that, you are then going to say whether this business strategy is well suited for it. You're going to evaluate the strategy. So is the strategy feasible? Is the strategy appropriate? Okay, so you'll see there's lots of ways in which we can evaluate the strategy. So you are going to say, is the strategy appropriate? Is it feasible? Is it desirable? Is it valid in relation to AVO? So you must ask yourself, is the strategy appropriate for the AVO app? And you're going to use your answer as application. So you're going to give reasons from the case study as to why you say this strategy that you have chosen is indeed appropriate for AVO. Okay, so evaluate the business level strategy. In your evaluation, you can mention that you think this business level strategy is well suited to AVO. It's a good strategy. It is consistent with what AVO is, portraying to the consumers. It's consistent with their values, with their objectives. Okay, and then you're going to then say, in conclusion, you believe that AVO's strategy suits the organization because of X, Y, and Z. Or you're going to say, I believe that AVO's business level strategy that they have picked does not suit the organization, and my advice or my recommendation would be X, Y, and Z. So in your conclusion, you have to say whether you think the business level strategy, let's say cost leadership, is well suited to AVO or not. And again, in your conclusion, you would then write, like I mentioned, AVO is pursuing a strategy of cost leadership. This is not well suited to AVO as an organization because or vice versa. AVO is following a cost leadership strategy, and this is very well suited to the organization because X, Y, Z. So a lot of information that needs to go in for the 40 marks. Like I say, the first two are your theory questions, defining the business level strategy, listing the advantages and the disadvantages. And then our last 2 points is analyzing in detail the strategy that AVO has implemented. So asking ourselves, is it a good fit for the business? Is it appropriate? Is it desirable for the business? And then concluding with saying whether you think this business strategy is well suited or not. Okay. So that's question 1, ladies and gents. Please, if you have any questions, do type them up or raise your hand if you need to. And again, for those who are listening to the recording, if you have questions, you are also welcome to pop me a message via VC Learn or on email, and then I can help you further if there's something you don't understand. Okay. So question 2 is the same format. So we are lucky it works the same format again for 40 marks, except this time around we are now focusing on the corporate level strategy. So here we are focusing on our corporate level strategy. So we are finished with business level. We are moving up 1 level, which is going to be, like I mentioned, our corporate strategies. Okay. So in a nutshell, our corporate strategies are our strategies that we put in place in order to grow further. Okay, so we want to try and grow our business, and we will put strategies in place in order to grow. If the organization is doing really, really badly, then our corporate level strategy will be to decline. So we will retrench people, we will get rid of people, but that's declining and things like that. In general, we are focusing on growing the business. So we need to grow the business, okay? And you will read from Avo's website that they are actually doing well. So they will be implementing a growth strategy. But which growth strategy they are implementing is up to you to pick the best one, and again, justify why you have picked that. Okay, so step one, as always, decide which corporate level strategy Avo is using and how are they implementing it. So we've got our theory part, describe and determine the growth strategy or the corporate level strategy that they would have. So are they focusing on, let's say, for example, let me think of a strategy now that they would have. Are they focusing on diversifying their products? So they have decided that they want to grow the business by means of diversification, whether that be related or unrelated diversification, it doesn't matter. So we're focusing on. So then you would say in your answer, diversification strategies are, and you give the definition. Okay, then you would say, it is evident that Avo is following or implementing a diversification strategy because they are doing X, Y, and Z. So in your introduction, define the strategy that you have picked and identify the reasons why you say that they are doing that strategy as well. And then you're going to again list the advantages and disadvantages of that strategy. So what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages of that strategy that you have selected? Okay. And then the third part, which is the application, is recommend an alternative corporate level strategy. So if you feel that they are not following the correct strategy, how can they change it? What else could they be focusing on if they are not only focusing on diversification? What is another strategy option for them? How can they implement that strategy? And what are some of the advantages and disadvantages associated with that strategy? So you're going to recommend another strategy. So even if you believe with your whole heart that Avo is following a good strategy and they're implementing it well, as part of your answer for the 40 marks, you have to recommend an alternative. So you have to give a recommendation of a different strategy and analyze those advantages and disadvantages. And then in your conclusion, you could just say then that Avo is following a diversification strategy. This is very well suited for them, but another strategy that they could look at is an integration strategy or product development or whatever it may be. Okay. So question 2, again, a lot of words. Remember, we have upped this to 600 now just for that little bit of an increase there. So if you are on 600 words, that is good for that. We are focusing on corporate level strategy. Now for corporate level strategy, I have given you some page numbers here, but you will find for this question, guys and girls, that you might need to do some extra research. So our textbook does have information on it, but they don't have that much when it comes to advantages and disadvantages and sort of variety of information. They have a condensed version of it, but for this question, unlike question 1, you would then need to do a little bit of extra research. Just remember then to reference as well. Okay. Questions on question 2, or everyone happy so far? We can also have questions at the end. Perfect. Okay. So the last question, you can all breathe a sigh of relief, is a quick question. It's only the 10 marker. So it's only our 10 mark question. And here we speak about the triggers of what are these business triggers that they would have. Okay. And I've given you the page number once again as a summary. And for 10 marks, what you have to do, you have to look at the 5 strategic triggers when a business model wants to change, and you are going to apply them to Avo. So step 1, give a summary of the triggers. Step 2, apply them to Avo. Now, ladies and gents, you might find that this application is not relevant to Avo. I then need you to think a little bit and almost make it in a hypothetical sense to make it applicable, okay? So for some of the triggers, it might not jump out at you, the answer from the case study, but in that case, you are more than welcome then to use the application in sort of a hypothetical term as well, okay? So basically what these triggers are, just to give you a bit of background, is when business models need to change something. So when something needs to change, so in the first case, if there needs to be a change, it is often triggered by different things. And they've analyzed 5 different triggers, things that push businesses to change, whether it is customers that are locked out of the market, whether it is technology that has forced them to change their model, whether it is a new opportunity that has again forced them. So whatever the change is, you then need to apply that to Avo, okay? So you are going to then use the application for trigger as well. So you've got 5 different triggers. Explain the triggers briefly, so give a brief summary of them, and then you are going to apply each one of those triggers to Avo. So 1 mark for the explanation and 1 mark for the application. Let's say, for example, like I mentioned, you don't find any new technologies that is going to force a trigger in Avo, then go and say what it could be. So say there is currently no technological advances, but in the future, Avo should be aware of artificial intelligences or any other things that could affect their business and the way that they need to then be changing as well. Okay. So that's basically everything, ladies and gentlemen, that I wanted to share with you tonight. Remember, you're going to submit it on Learn, submit it on time. Remember to reference, it's 100 marks. There will be feedback as well. If you need an extension, apply on the hub. So this is just all general admin. And that really is all from my side. Good luck, everyone. I'm looking forward to seeing the assignments. We do have a few more collab sessions coming up, so I hope you can listen to this one as a good starting point and sort of run with the assignment as well. If you don't have any questions, you are welcome to log off from the session. Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate it. I will stay online if there are any questions. If not, good luck, everyone. I hope that you have a great evening and a wonderful weekend. Bye.